Okay, it's fine. We're starting. What's so funny?
It looked like he threw up in his mouth. What are you doing?
My throat.
He's just pushing the press on his mouth. He just goes.
Oh man, are we good to go?
I guess
Yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna actually work. Like we could talk about whatever. It might be useless, but
Okay.
we can try. I'd take off the cover, but it would make it so much worse.
Yeah. Well,
We could scoot in as possible. Like, shit, I think someone's home. Make sure it doesn't hit the computer. Actually, pretty cool. I think you're on the computer cord. Just off a little bit. Yeah, it's okay. It's just gonna be really quiet. I can't like. You have to have it right next to your face for it to make any noise.
should we set a time limit?
Like,
Like 20 minutes.
sure.
Okay, and topic.
Fuck, where's my teeth?
I have a bunch. Do you have a dice? You don't have a dice.
Why do we need dice?
Let's pick a random topic. I could write like 6. But we can talk about current state of Nintendo. We can talk about I'm probably best if I also have my computer out so we can look up stuff if we need to.
Let's get ready to pretend like whoever's watching on the internet cares about our opinions, because that's what everything's about.
We can talk about current state of Nintendo. We can talk about the course of action that game designers have done in like patterns of games, like how like the third-person shooter genre is defined, or how maybe we want more innovation, or maybe we want some old stuff back. We can talk about horror games, whether they're overused or underused, the underdog of video gaming, or whether or not they just suck butts.
I think for the most part they do suck butts.
Yeah, that's something we can talk about. We can talk about anime games. How anime games are
Too expensive.
Kind of a lot of them are really similar. Some of them are actually really good. Whether or not like anime art style really defines what a game.
How do
should be
you
like.
weed out the double blown bubble babies?
Oh yeah. Can I get a hug again?
Hell yeah.
What's like?
And how I think we as gamers are too spoiled to ask too much of developers anymore.
That's also a thing.
I think developers are really trying, and it's way more than than we can understand. I think whenever like gamers say like bad development, I'm like, ooh, that's BS. You just don't know what you're talking about. You just want to find something to complain about.
Yeah, I think that's also a big
Like
thing.
the whole bad
at the same
game
time, I
design
do think
comment.
a lot of game designers do kind of make some weird decisions. But more or less, if we're going to talk about bad or good game design, we could go in depth rather than saying, oh, it's bad. We can say like, oh, here's what really is what grinds my gears about modern game design, or something that a game developer did in particular, than just writing it off as, oh, it's just bad. Or
My gears are ground by I don't have much problems with the game design. I just got a problem with the gamers now.
I got a problem with game community, like as a whole.
Fair enough.
I guess this is our conversation though.
I mean, it's like, eventually, I know in one of, like, last time we were talking, not recorded, but, Tinkara was talking about how, like, a fan base for something can just go to shit, even though the thing itself is, like, really good, and, like, what happens.
Yeah, fan bases are death
Like,
threats to things sometimes.
I remember being in freshman year, like a freshman in high school, and like people were like, "Are you part of this fan base? Are you part of that fan base?" I'm like, "What the fuck does that even mean?"
Like
I was just like, I like this different stuff. Do I really have to pick a side?
Yeah.
It is like picking a faction.
Like I don't get it. Like I don't understand the point of having to like. Why do you have to be part of these certain communities to actually like something? Like you can just like it and not like.
I feel like people think that's just what's expected of them now. You know?
Kind of like the U.S. political system.
God.
I'm not here to talk about politics, but
Politics.
a lot of people don't have like individual beliefs because they like to follow like a group, like a fan base, or
because
a
like,
political party.
It's just become, there are say the two sides now, and it's just like you can't pick one of the not two sides anymore because nothing will happen if you do.
So it's like that with video games, like with fan bases. It's like you have to pick a side, but honestly, I personally, I don't pick sides. I'm not part of any fan base. I like games because I like games.
I'm part of a ton of fan bases because I like those games.
And that's cool because a fan base can be a good thing. It doesn't have to go to be a bad
Well, I
thing.
mean, for me, like a fan base is a physical thing. It's something that you have to like. You it's the people you hang out with. It's the online forum things that you go and comment on. It's all the stuff that you watch. Like you can't really have any interest unless you're in this fan base. Like, for like I don't know. I always thought of fan base as like a negative thing, just because of like any fan base for any good thing usually like a lot of times will turn to crap, and it makes you embarrassed to like whatever you're liking. It's like, why did this happen? But like, what is it? Like, I know this isn't a problem because like, say if I wanna like trying to explain video games to non like savvy parents, I guess if that's the right word. That man, plural of it doesn't explain anything. What?
Fan bases is plural of fan base. What a good definition.
Good, but what's it called? That like say I want to explain Breath of the Wild to my parents. Like, what's it like? Oh, they know Zelda because I've been playing. I was like playing Zelda games since I was like 9 or 10, and I want to explain to them the new Zelda game. It's like, well, how do I explain to them sort of like that like 90% of the fan base for Breath of the Wild wants to fuck Link, and I'm like, I can't. How do I explain this part of the game? Like, it's become integrated into the fan base that Link is like this pretty sexy boy, and I'm like, I thought he was more of a like sort of a generic hero figure that anybody playing the game say can look up to. But it's like, oh, everybody just wants to like rule. What is it? Rule 34? Is that the deal? Fucking people, like just fucking everything. Yep. Like seriously. And how do you
As
like?
an avid interneter, I know there's a good old Rule 34, which is anything.
You get rule that look that Rule 34 up on the fucking incognito browser.
There's a good old fashioned Rule 63, which is probably pretty common. Although it's becoming less common nowadays because everybody's gay now.
I'm gay.
Well, I feel like it's just becoming hard to be people now.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you mean by the whole fan base thing. That can like totally drive something out of proportion. Because it's like, I don't know, it's kind of like internet memes. If like a lot of people like the same internet meme, they kind of like get obnoxious about it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I can understand that's something that somebody can like, really grind their gears about memes, because it's like, oh my god, everyone's just going crazy over this one meme. They're driving it like way over the top. Hint, hint.
What?
But it's just like, like some people really drive things out of proportion with the fan base. I mean, they don't really act like they have their own opinion on something.
I mean, I know, like, being part of a fan base, you should definitely have your own opinions and, I mean, as in not care about what other people think, whether it's the people in the fan base or people outside of the fan base. But it's sort of like, can't help being a part of something, whether you say you're in the fan base or not, and being embarrassed that you like it because, man, fuck, like 80% of the population of the people who like this one thing are like fucking weird. And it's like, I don't want to, like, you can go up to somebody and be like, you play video games? Like, yeah, sure. What do you play?
Gay porn 3.
Yeah. Like, it's just,
ain't no shame in that.
Because I know, what was it? Freaking making games. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Fan base is a weird topic because a lot of like, what do you really define it as? Because I've never really thought of myself as being any part of a fan base, because that means that I belong to something that isn't like, I'm the one who sought this out. Why do I suddenly belong to this group of people who I really don't want anything to deal with? Like, I just want to play the game and talk to people about it.
I'm pretty sure by definition, fan base is just the group of fans. Mm-hmm. So you would belong to several fan bases by that standard.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say belong as much as, like, depending on what you associate with. Because you can be a fan of, like, example. But they say there's like a fan base of PewDiePie that's totally like, oh man, gay butt sex PewDiePie. Why are we keep talking about gay stuff? Oh my god. You mean you can be gay if you want. I'm not like trying to like hate on gays, but I'm just like.
God damn it.
But like, okay, does it say like, just for example, don't know why I keep saying gay stuff, but yeah, see, there's like a fan.
It's
base
only
of PewDiePie.
you.
It's like, oh man, we're a fan base of.
What's your profanity? I'm just gonna keep checking it. I don't know why it cut out. Here, like, turn the music down for a second. Alright, we lost, like, all of it.
That's cool.
But here, turn it down. I'm not sure if it'll pick it up or not. Where do you guys want to go from here? Because it just, like, we ended it at a weird... We ended it at a weird part where we were talking about fan bases.
Talking about everything gay.
What? I'd be worried, but I know, like, no one's gonna watch this, so it's fine.
Are we back recording?
Yeah, it's recording again.
Okay.
What the hell is this?
The coolest sharpener ever.
It just looks like a weird bullet.
And it kind of is. Check this. What isn't that dull? I don't really have any dull pencils.
I don't know. I've never had to worry about sharpening a pencil in like years. Mechanical for life.
One and done. Boom. It's super sharpens.
One and done.
Until you're done.
Also, the width doesn't change.
True. But you don't get those natural lines that you do with these.
You can.
Every line is solid.
You can get the natural lines.
What were we gonna talk about again?
Big believers.
Alright, so, talking about that. You know who's got a fat...
What?
Choose your words carefully, Marcel.
I'm gonna look up others.
Got no words for that.
Were you actually gonna say something?
Yeah, you guys can.
Alright, what are we feeling?
We're just gonna continue what we're talking about?
I mean, we got no reason to not to.
I'm gonna look up what's wrong with Audacity.
What's wrong with these hoes?
Let's see. We were talking about the map for Dark Souls 2.
Let's talk about game design patterns.
Sure.
Whether it's stuff you like, stuff you don't like, stuff you miss in the olden days.
And while we're on it, I'd like to mention the Dark Souls series.
Alright.
The Souls series. I think it really took off with Dark Souls 1. Demon Souls is a good game.
Yeah.
I don't think it took off nearly as well as the other two did. I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't know a lot of the facts for that. But Dark Souls 1. I really liked the game. It had interesting NPCs, a storyline that if you wanted to get into, you could.
Yeah.
It felt kind of like a lot of things were optional, and that was really nice.
Did you hear about the thing where there was this guy, and it was like, From Software was like, hey, if you can, like, explain the complete story of Dark Souls correctly, you, like, win something crazy. It was pretty funny, actually. There was a article about it, I'm pretty sure. The guy did it right. There was a guy who did it right, of course. But it was pretty funny because I don't really fully quite get the story. I don't.
Oh, I love the story.
Like, I kind of know that there's a story present. It's like, you got this ancient kingdom. Okay, it's kind of falling apart.
There's a lot you kind of have to, like, sew together yourself.
And it's not like, it's kind of weird because it's kind of like overarching things. It's not like there's this kingdom and there was this princess and there was, like, these people and there was, like, a conflict. It was, like,
it's a lot of stuff that has happened already.
It's got, like, beasts that had to do with, like, creation and, like, stuff like that.
Well, for a lot of it, particularly Dark Souls 2, a lot of it is stuff that has happened already.
Yeah, that's the thing, because you kind of come into the world not really...
You come in towards the end of the world.
You don't feel like you know everything that's gone on here. It kind of, like, feels like you're the new kid on the block, which is kind of the thing I like about the series, because sometimes you don't need to know everything.
I know, it's great.
And it doesn't really bombard you with, like, space politics, like Mass Effect or anything like that. It's like, it's just a...
BioWare, I still love you.
No, don't get me wrong. Mass Effect, great game.
Never played Mass Effect.
I haven't either. But anyways.
I was beginning to play the first one, and then my Xbox broke.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Hardcore.
Yeah, no, my dad played it. He got really into it. I watched a lot of it.
Isn't Mass Effect Andromeda like $30?
Well,
we don't talk about that game.
Didn't it drop really hard?
People don't like it because the graphics aren't as like good as other games are.
Not only that, the graphics weren't as good as the previous game.
And sure, there's a lot of bugs, but overall, I've heard people say the same thing. They can ignore that because, like, it's a fun game to like.
The game is still relatively fun.
Everyone I've talked to about it, my brother, he got it. He's like, yeah, it's a good game. Like, it's good because like he's enjoying it, and like the things that detract from it aren't enough to make him want to not play the game.
Yeah, it's like relative
I think
to
that's what
whatever
makes it a
you
good
want in a game.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
some
why
people,
I play
they
Sonic
really.
06.
What was that?
So that's why I play Sonic. I actually kind of enjoy it a little bit.
Hell yeah, man!
As in, it's like I play it, but I can't get past one level because the level sucks.
Yeah.
Yes, that game's quite the exception. It's like, there's a lot wrong with it.
3D Sonic games in a nutshell, pretty much. There's always gonna be that one level which is like.
I honestly don't mind
Grind your
it nearly
gears.
as much as other people do. I think, but that's because like I'm super easy to please when it comes to games and stuff. I think for the most part, so it's hard for me to be really like on a game's ass about certain things.
But yeah, no, I think I like the Dark Souls series for the fact that it's very original. I don't really know any other games that are like it that came out before it. Nothing I can really think of in particular.
Didn't Dark Souls get popular after its release? It wasn't popular when it first came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was kind of like a hidden gem.
A lot of their previous games are very similar because, like, take the Moonlight Greatsword. That's been in, I'm pretty sure, every one of their games, and they've done a lot of games before. Like, they've done like quite a few.
Yeah.
Like before Demon Souls and Dark Souls, even like there's a ton of their other games that are. I've heard they're kind of weird. I've never actually seen anything about them. I'd like to check them out someday. But From Software. It's from Software. I love that.
I don't know why they named themselves that.
Hey man, why does any game company name themselves anything?
It's kind of interesting. I don't know.
What games have they made? People want to know the new stuff. They want a Bloodborne 2.
Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Armored Core, Kingsfield. Yeah, that's one of the ones I heard about. Armored Core, Chrome, Armored Core, a lot of that. Eternal Ring, Ninja Blade, Atobi, Enchanted Arms, Shadow Tower, Armored Core again, more Armored Core,
3D Game Heroes. Oh my god, there's no way they did that.
Really? That's cool. So much Armored Core. Oh my god.
Armored Core 3.
Armored Core.
Armored Core Project.
Kingsfield.
Armored Core
Kingsfield
9.
is the original one. That's where like a bunch of the ideas came from.
Field.
Yo, learned how to spell. Field. That was there's a zero. It doesn't make a noise.
Kingsfield.
So it's first person?
Oh, that's interesting.
I guess.
Yeah, look, is it Moonlight Greatsword?
Yeah. Also known as, I guess, the Ice Blade. But we really know it's the Moonlight Greatsword. I guess traditionally it'd be the Ice Blade, but Moonlight Greatsword sounds cooler.
There's the evolution of the Moonlight Greatsword.
Yep.
Is this the Dark Souls 2 version?
That is the Dark Souls 3 version.
That's the Skyrim
That's
version.
the Dark Souls 2 version.
Okay, it doesn't look much different. Just longer.
Yeah, it was the one that basically looked very different from all of them, but looked traditional to the original one. The Dark Souls 3 one is very beat up looking, and it's got an edge that's clear, so it's weird. Still cool though. Love you, Moonlight Greatsword.
Yeah, I like Dark Souls because it's the original. It doesn't like anything else in particular. It has a new world. I like the smallness of the world. I like the fact that
I like that it feels like it's an enormous world, but you can still go.
No, I mean the smallness of the way it makes you. Small way it makes you feel. Makes you feel tiny.
Yeah, it makes you feel tiny. Yeah.
That's the thing I like. I like that in worlds. Like I don't know. I like that about like European architecture.
Oh,
I like the giant
fantasy
cathedrals.
architecture.
I like the giant cathedrals and like the big mountains. Like I like that.
I love it.
And I don't know. I feel like that's something that Dark Souls like really gets right.
Particularly Dark Souls 3, I love the environment for that one.
Yeah.
I love how the whole thing basically felt like it could like I was like, oh damn, how am I gonna get to that place? And then you end up in that place, you're like, oh damn, I'm here.
Yeah. That's also a cool thing. Like if you look into Bloodborne, for example, Bloodborne has a
What?
Bloodborne has a thing where you can look around the map and you can like see further places down.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, because Bloodborne is pretty much just like a steady creep down.
Yep.
Or up, down. I think it's down.
Bunch of
Anyways,
places
like,
are up, a couple places are down.
Yeah. You like end up going down, and you can see previous places canon to where your direction.
Yeah.
Is. So it makes the map feel like it's like connected, and that's one thing I think that's really cool about that game.
Yeah.
But also I like that it has a Victorian theme. I don't see that quite often in games.
It's cool. It gets a little overbearing. Like after having played the game a small amount of hours, it feels very like there's no variation in the color really.
Yeah.
The color palette's pretty much the same the whole game.
Well, that's pretty much like kind of like the Souls games.
No, they have no.
Like Dark Souls 1 feels like the same palette.
I disagree.
What do you mean by that? Do you mean like everything feels like literally the same color?
In Bloodborne, yes, I'd say everything feels about that kind of like maroonish, purpley gray.
Okay. Yeah.
And that color sticks as the main color of most backgrounds throughout the whole thing. There are some splashes of like yellow or blue, like every once in a while, but that sticks throughout. Dark Souls 1, it had like say the library, the ancient library place where you fight Seath and all that. There was a bunch of like blue and like crystal like there. So the scenery felt different.
So I see what you mean. It doesn't have like a breath of fresh air where it's like, oh, you're in a different
It
area.
just gets heavy.
Yeah.
Like it just feels overbearing.
Moving on from the Dark Souls series, because that's what we talk about a lot. What are other game designs that you do or don't like? I'm kind of, I don't know. It's kind of hard. Watching YouTube videos can kind of give me a bias. And
That's why I don't watch a lot of like reviews or anything like that.
one video I was watching had to do with third-person shooters. And a lot of third-person shooters kind of feel the same. I feel like a lot of them feel really similar. I don't know. I don't really know that many that kind of like really stand out. Like for example, like Uncharted. Oh my god, Uncharted, so cool. I love Uncharted. I like the story that it has behind it. I like the characters. Gameplay can get kind of repetitive.
It's an interactive movie.
Yeah, it's pretty much an interactive movie, and I feel like that type of genre of third-person shooters are like, I don't know how to feel about it. I love it. I was burnt out after I played Uncharted 1 and 2, and after 2, I was just burnt. I didn't even.
I can see that. Like, I'm sure it could become exhausting after a while.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The games can kind of make you feel like a badass after a while, but I mean, if you step up the difficulty, you're just gonna get raped. Like, you're gonna have a bad time, and you're gonna.
Can't do anything. Yeah, I can't. Like, fucking.
And like they just like pop out like ninjas, and I don't know.
I just want some. I just want some good AI.
Yeah.
Like, I just want the characters in that. I want the bad guys in that game to like value their life.
That's the thing. Okay, let's talk about Skyrim.
Oh my god.
Let's talk
about Bethesda. Let's talk about Skyrim, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4. I know everybody's hopped up on drugs and skooma and they want to die. Like,
but like
that's the only.
That's the only explanation. Like,
but they're all on drugs.
Still got like I can understand Fallout 4's like people's lack of like will like care for their life, but like let me start on Skyrim. Like the game was good for 2011. I don't think it holds up.
No.
I don't think it holds up, particularly on console. I think it was like, I think Legendary Edition, or the Special Edition that came out, I think it was a bit of a waste of money.
I still think that game developers in Japan still think that Americans are kind of stupid. Well, I mean, because it's like...
Well, we are.
We couldn't even get...
Well, I think most game developers know that, like, the gamers...
Because it's like we still have, like... They don't want to bring back Morrowind because they're like, this game is going to be too much. We're going to have to redo the entire thing. It's like...
They did.
Like, for Elder Scrolls Online?
No, they did an Oblivion-esque version of it.
Oh,
already.
But that's a fan thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Bethesda, they said that they refused to do a Morrowind like remastered edition for like PS4, Xbox One, or anything, because it'd be too like fans would reject it because they need something that's basic, that's just
Which is
dungeon
so
crawling,
annoying.
killing things.
I think
I would agree with their statement on that.
I think video game designers should do what they want. Don't get me wrong. I don't think that they should have to feel obligated to go out and make a game that
Exactly.
Nintendo doesn't do that.
I think people need to come up with. That's the problem. Is like the game industry is an industry. It's money making.
Mm-hmm.
So they're always worried about appeasing the fan base. But the problem with that is.
And what the hell is Metroid Prime Federation Force?
We don't talk about that. That's the bad one, right?
Or
That's the bad one, right?
or Triforce. No, it's like you think.
Yeah. Go
No.
to Federation Force and then Triforce Heroes. Like.
Well, it's because Triforce Heroes, Metroid Prime Federation Force, and
I
Hey
think they're to
Pikmin.
lower your expectations so that the next game will feel better.
Well, it's like
No, I'm serious. I think that's what it is.
they're the games that people wanted games for the franchise, but they're the games that nobody asked for. Because it's
Yeah.
like, we wanted a new Metroid game. Like, here's Metroid Prime Federation Force, and it's like, you took out... It feels like a good game, but they just slapped on the Metroid title. And then Triforce Heroes is like, let's take this concept that we've had developed since, like, the early 2000s, like, since 2002 or whenever Four Swords Adventures came out on the GameCube. Let's take the 4-player... Like, it's always been 2-4 players in games. And they took that concept of, like, hey, usually there's 4 people in a game. Let's make it 3. They built
I
it...
don't even know why they did that.
They
Their
built
player
it around
games
the
feel
totem
so
thing.
awkward.
They built it around the whole totem idea in the game. And they didn't utilize the controls at all in Triforce Heroes. It's like I was telling Cole last night that it was like... There's all the trigger buttons just do the running Pegasus boots thing. And like one of the buttons is just to take pictures. And the D-pad is all for moving the camera, which you really don't need to do. And it's like, I'd understand the picture thing if more people had Triforce Heroes, but the picture functionality only allows you to take one picture. Not
That means you can share it with the one person who
play-
has.
But then it's like and then I haven't played a lot of Hey Pikmin. I have it, but it's like I don't really know. I don't know what Nintendo thinks about it. At this point, I'm not upset with Nintendo. I don't want them
I'm
to be
just
like.
disappointed.
I'm not upset or disappointed or anything. I just want to understand their business plan. I want to understand why did you guys decide to make this game? Whose idea was it, and who asked for it? Like, because Hey Pikmin, from what I understand, the 3DS and especially the new 3DS has more power than they're letting out.
Yeah.
Like it can. Like, have you seen Animal Crossing on the GameCube?
Yeah.
It looks like a fart. The characters, there's no character customization. Like, it was the first game, of course. The game was fine, but the game is like there's so many people or jokes that I've read about like the villager in that game being like he's everybody's freaking demon messenger man, like because he has the character either is a girl and you have like pigtails or something, or you're a guy and you always wear a hat and you have horns, like you're literally a demon. Look at your there's a lady
I'm
there.
a little Viking. That's so cool.
But it's not a hat. If you take off the hat, you still have the horns. You're a freaking demon.
That's so cool. I like
Nah,
it.
he's a little Viking.
But it's what's it called? The game, the first Animal Crossing game, is literally going around and retrieving people's stuff. Like, imagine
You're a
like,
repo man.
yeah. No, I mean, you like say I lend you Dark Souls 3, and then you play it for a while, but then you lend Dark Souls 3 to Leaf, and then Leaf lends it to Ezra.
That's just fucking rude.
And then you have to go backtrack and be like, I want somebody, I want my Dark Souls 3 copy back, and you have to go to that person and be like, I lent it to this person. You go to the next one, I lent it to this person, and it's like, is it? Sorry, I'm making sure the thing's still recording, and it goes on forever, and it's like, this is all this game is, and you're doing that just to get money so you can actually live your life. And that's, of course, they were trying to figure. I'm assuming they were trying to figure out with the first Animal Crossing where they wanted to go, but of course, like Animal Crossing New Leaf is on the GameCube, and it's so much bigger. It looks a lot better, and it's a whole 3D game, and it's like if they can do that, of like they can make a better version of a GameCube game, then they can make something else in the 3DS, because I know like there's Xenoblade Chronicles 3D, which I'm not sure why they chose to remake that game for the new 3DS because I
True.
didn't even know like
that was really random,
the only reason I knew about Xenoblade Chronicles how it was on the Wii is because one day I was digging around on Zelda Informer and they said here's a top 10 list of games for the Wii that you probably didn't hear about, and I was like, okay, I'll read it, and I was like, oh, there's this thing called Xenoblade Chronicles, and I was like, I didn't hear about that. I didn't know about it before I read about it online. I never actually saw it.
No, same.
And I was like, what is this? And then Smash 4 came out and Shulk's in Smash, and people got like, that got people more interested in the Xenoblade Chronicles series who weren't already in it.
Which is a really good marketing
But it's like,
plan.
I don't know why they chose to remake that. It's not a bad game. It's a really, really good game. It's definitely a JRPG grinder.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's not like, oh, you're a couple levels down. I really struggled in that game, and I still am whenever I pick it up, because you can't be a couple levels lower than your enemy and still win based on, like, say you got everything on lockdown and you're doing really well and you're really good at the game. If you're a couple levels lower than your enemy, you have to be either the same level as the person you're fighting or a couple levels higher, or your stats drop. They're like your stats drop and their stats pick up, and they will destroy you no matter how hard you try. You have to be that specific level.
I'm an absurd grinder. I have a I got a problem. Take whenever I play like any Final Fantasy, Fire Emblem, any of those kind of games, I go to the max. If I'm not at least like at the same level as like the highest level unit, which is generally like a boss level, like if I don't have the same amount of like promoted units, or like if my units are not at least like 5 levels higher than the enemy, I don't know what I'm doing. I think it's because I like to think of like, okay, so they have a mass of numbers, so they have quantity, so I'll do quality. So I take an absurd amount of like units and just not absurd amount of units. I make these units absurdly powerful in comparison to these groups of like weenies, and like it just like
grinding's so boring to me though.
I can't like
there's something soothing about it. I think that's why I can play RTS a whole lot.
Oh,
I can't like
explain it for you. I don't know. I grinded a lot playing Final Fantasy, and I never enjoyed it. It was more like a chore that I didn't really mind. It was like keep pressing A, keep pressing the attack button. And then I'd check my health after, like, because I would literally have a Game Boy. Okay, Final Fantasy 4 in clutch. Okay, going through every battle. Keep pressing A. All I do is literally, like, go around, do whatever I'm doing, watch a TV show, look at my hand, check my health. If I need a healing, get healing. And then just go back to it again. I thought that was, like... I thought that was the most boring thing ever, but...
Well,
I just love seeing the increase. I think that's what I like about grinding. I love seeing the increase.
Yeah, it's like working out. It's like I like seeing the results.
But it's like, well... With that, I know Xenoblade Chronicles is hard to pick up sometimes because of that, at least for me. But I know that they were being able to release a port of a Wii game that looks pretty dang good, even though some characters have some pan face shots, which isn't that bad. Yeah, and they can make a port of a Wii game on the new 3DS, and that's really crazy. Then they can make all this different stuff, and then it's like you get those. Yes. But they like what's it called? Like they could be making. I don't know what their plan is with stuff. Like I know they have like the console that has the best virtual console is the Wii U, but nobody plays the Wii U.
No.
People play, like probably more people play.
The Wii U is what the Wii should have been.
Yeah, and then
everyone still makes fun of the Wii U, and I'm like, oh, I still need to get one. Should have got my Persona crossover.
They're just so behind technologically. Like they're just so behind, and I feel like the Wii would have stood a good chance, or the Wii U would have stood a good chance. People still use the Wii.
That thing still prints money.
They use it for Netflix.
Yeah. Are you kidding me?
That's all they use it for.
Well, it's like they the Wii U still has all the virtual console stuff, and until they put the virtual console on the Switch, I don't know if they're ever going to do that. I'm not sure what their idea is with it, because I'm not sure what they want to do with the I'm not sure what their plan is with the 3DS. I kind of wish they would move on because I don't know what they're planning with it yet, because they're still people who haven't upgraded to the original to the new 3DS yet, there isn't really much that you're missing other than Minecraft
Minecraft. That one.
Yet another system to play Minecraft on.
There's Binding of Isaac.
Okay, but like I bought Minecraft recently, so I'm not allowed to like give people shit about it.
I don't even think it's dumb. I think it's cool, dude.
I just think you can play it on every console like available.
But I think it's cool at Nintendo because I don't know when anything is like being put on Nintendo that you wouldn't expect to be put on Nintendo. I think that's
like take Doom.
Yeah, like they're putting Doom on a Nintendo console. Like, that's cool. That's like a good step in like a more innovative direction.
Like I don't like when they release games like Metroid Prime, Federation Force, and Triforce Heroes, and Hey Pikmin. I'm like, the 3DS has so much more capable going for it. You're taking a 3D console, a console that has 3D in the freaking title, and you're making side scrollers for it. It's like,
what game has actually used the 3D?
Mario.
Since the 3D came out.
Mario. Super Mario 3D.
What's the last game? You can use 3D on some of them.
You can use it, but like what game like
have you that actually benefits from it?
Yeah.
I like playing it actually. I used the 3D a little bit in Samus Returns. It was nice.
Oh yeah?
That's cool. Because the depth of the backgrounds is really intense. But I remember using the 3D in Hey Pikmin, the backgrounds are really, really flat. Mm-hmm. And it's not worth like the one thing that I really like about Pikmin is exploring.
Yeah.
And making the Pikmin and doing that different stuff and like your numbers of Pikmin are sort of like yeah. There's no onions anymore. Oh. You find the Pikmin in like you find the Pikmin in small amounts that you need to complete the level in bushes and stuff, and you gather them up. And there's no challenge to trying to gather your Pikmin back in because the second you press the call button, they all swarm back to you no matter what's going on. Oof. So they made Pikmin into a not challenging side scroller, and I don't know. I probably don't have a fair way to review it right now because I haven't played a lot of it. I don't know how it develops, but it's like they're turning everything in. They're turning all of these like 3D awesome games into Kirby. Kirby started on a side scroller, hasn't really evolved much from there.
If they want a new Kirby game, they should just make a new Kirby game.
Like, which they are.
Are they?
Yeah,
for this.
Game coming up.
But
yeah.
But Kirby fits with that 2D world. It feels natural because they haven't really like.
Because it's always been like that.
Yeah. But like with Legend of Zelda, it evolved into Ocarina of Time and then went from there. Metroid evolved into Metroid Prime and went from there.
Because it went from a 2D top down to a 3D open world, which is like that's usually how those kind of things go. And it's like, yo, look at all of this, wow!
Like all those other games evolved, Kirby stayed where it was and sort of evolved into a 2.5D side scroller, and that's fine. But you're taking all these ones that started out as 3Ds, ones that are like Pikmin, Chibi Robo. Animal Crossing side scroller would be going too far. That doesn't exist yet, but I hope it doesn't. But it's like I feel like they're doing less and asking for more because it costs more to get a setup to play Hey Pikmin than it does to play the original Pikmin. Because you can get a GameCube for probably around $30-$35 and get Pikmin for $20. That's like say $55-$60. You can get for $60. The cheapest you're gonna find a 3DS for or a 2DS is gonna be $70, and Hey Pikmin's $40. It's over $100 to play this less progressed, like less advanced game. That isn't as fun. It's like you can play. The only thing that's really down about that is something that really is only a problem for me because I like portable gaming. Is that you have to play it at home, but for most people who play games, that's not a problem. You just play it at home. But you can play a more fun version of Pikmin. Whatever that was.
You doing all right there, buddy?
I'm fine. It's just the pretzels. But what you call them?
Why you keep eating them?
There's I don't know. But and they made that duck thing. Whatever that duck thing is on the cover. It's like it doesn't feel like Pikmin.
Does it come into the store at all?
The duck?
Yeah.
It's on the first level. It's exactly like the Bulldorps, the red things with the
I mean, it looks just like the red things.
It's just a duck. And also they changed the when they changed the ship. Because the dolphin in the first game didn't talk to you. But the thing in Pikmin...
Does this one talk to you?
Yeah, it talks to you like the one in Pikmin 2 does, but it's not the same one. They created this whole different currency for this... Oh, wait, what's that? I don't know. I'm probably being a little bit like too judgmental. I haven't played it a lot. I gotta pick it up again. I'm kind of sad that they dropped the 2 Pikmin. They dropped the white and the purple ones, I think.
Oh,
Um,
I like this
but I'll have to pick it up again and try it. But what I just really like about Pikmin is the open world, trying to find stuff. Growing Pikmin is sort of like what you like is grinding in that game is to grow Pikmin. It's a enjoyable thing because
and like take your armies into battle and like
Yeah.
you know gotta suffer the losses. Even though I know there are like those out there who are like I can stand losing a squad, but that's because like I'm so used to like playing like the RTS ones where like I lose all the time because I used to not make smart decisions. I used to basically I never built these siege equipment. I used to just send in the special unit of the faction until the enemy dies. I sent my sword dudes at castles, and I'm like, what? And people are like, what are you doing? I'm like, don't worry, I got this.
what was the European Hey Pikmin box art? I want to see if it's different.
Speaking of RTSs,
It's so much more. That feels so much more Pikmin. Like him
What was
walking.
what was
God
the
damn it.
American one?
It
E7.
the American one's that one. Like it's this.
Oh, it's all wild looking.
Like this one when Almar walking. Like right now he looks like he's violent. He never looks violent in the games. He always looks like he's kind of just highish. He just looks like he's on drugs or something.
He just looks like Olimar.
Yeah.
I don't even
What I
understand
love-
diversity in choosing box art.
About the Pikmin, it's like a like the
It's a
Nintendo,
market thing. but
like
I don't
Nintendo of
understand.
America.
Yeah, I like how Pikmin
So
for
they
some
can
reason.
get collectors.
So for some reason, Pikmin. I'm not sure what it is, but I know there's a lot of good games for the GameCube. The GameCube has probably a good at least a third of the best Nintendo games of all time in its collection, and like games like Super Mario Sunshine, Melee, Double Dash, Pikmin. I guess people don't like Kirby Air Ride.
I like Kirby Air Ride.
People don't like it because they don't like the controls, I guess.
I love Kirby Air Ride.
It's great.
about?
It's the reviews about
Well,
Kirby Air
reviews
Ride.
can shove it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I hate a lot of reviews. I feel like they don't ever do the game justice
They don't. It's a person's bias. That's the thing about reviews is people like take them too.
because they take their
Exactly.
bias into it, like going into it. A lot of the times, like you don't see people going in with like an open mind or
Well,
anything.
no, like a lot of game reviewers do seem like they have an open mind when they go into it, but it's just that like when it comes to certain
I think it's hard
blocks
to
in the
find those
games, when it comes to certain blocks that are in the games, there's two ways that people react to it. Some people will praise how difficult a game, and some people will be completely turned off by it. And you'll have a reviewer in two different companies who will say two different things about it. Maybe someone will say, for Dark Souls example, if Dark Souls wasn't as praised as it was for how difficult it is, then I feel like a lot of people would say that the Dark Souls series is terrible. I think just because it's praised so much that a lot of people give it a lot of praise, so it's not like a huge positive light. But I think if somebody were to review it without this huge status that it has, they'd probably be like, oh, this game is too hard, you know, it has impossible expectations, and like you know, there's one way someone can look at a game like that, and then the other way is, this game really challenges you. You know, it throws different marks at you from different angles, and it hits you where you never expected. And like, so there's like two different angles to look at a game.
Mhm.
And I think when people review games, it's hard to capture that.
Yeah.
It's hard to have a completely unbiased opinion on something because the thing is, everyone has their own opinion. It just comes from
Yeah.
one person.
And then plus people can cop out and be like, this game is like this, and this game is also like this, and comparisons make
Which
it
is why
harder.
things like Metacritic exist, because I'm pretty sure that's the one that is like user based.
User and
Yeah.
critic based, so you have like people
Yeah, so
reviewing
you
it.
have people who are professionally.
So you can see like
reviewers.
if it's everything's green and there's one red, you could be like, all right, this guy's a dick.
Yeah,
He was just
that's
like,
the
this
thing,
guy's calling
you
it
can,
out.
You can tell if people are really liking the game or if they're really just hating on it for no reason.
That's interesting.
What is?
Dang, Dark Souls look good.
Kingsfield.
I don't know. When it comes to like games like Dark Souls, I like them because like when you get down to it, they're not hard. Like you just like the game. It just basically I think what the game asks for you is to just figure out what you're doing.
No, it's got a learning curve.
I think it just asks what you like figure out what you're doing, and once you figure out what you're doing, the game doesn't get that like it's not hard. Like it's just easy to mess up. I think it's very easy to mess up.
Yeah.
I do it all the time.
But isn't that what makes a game hard? What makes a game hard? Because I feel like Dark Souls is hard. I don't think it's not easy. I wouldn't
call it easy, but I wouldn't call it like absurdly hard. Like I think just like because once you get your own like rhythm down, it's like it's not that difficult. But when you take it into like RTSs or things like that, like overinflated enemies, that's false difficulty.
You search what counts as hard without typing in a game is like, man, it's got half chub. It's kind of hard. Like, what does it count if it's a half chub?
Geridian football. What the hell?
Oh, gridiron. I don't know.
Oh,
what makes a video game hard? Like, I think what makes a game hard? Like, I think
that's all user definition. Like, it's all user based. Like,
it all depends about how long you're gonna pick it up. Because, like, definitely one of the games that I think is hard, like, say in the series of Mega Man, if I was to have somebody like say I want to play a Mega Man game, I've never played one before. What would you play? I'd say either play Mega Man 2 or play Mega Man X because they have an easier learning curve than the first game does. Because, like, you just want to get fucked if you want to play the first game because it's not. There's a learning curve to all those different games, but it only matters about how long you take to play it because anything gets easier. Like say if you want to start a new sport and you go to play the sport and you suck at it and you're like this is hard, but then you give up and it stays hard if you give up, but if you keep doing it, man, get your head out of the gutter. I can't get out of here. Get this. What's it called?
All these euphemisms have been.
The game gets. It depends also on your experience or other things. But say if I were to pick up a game I never played before, like it's a game. If I were to.
What's a game you haven't played? That's a good question.
If I were to pick like one game I haven't played.
Like, I've never played, like, a like, Final Fantasy Tactics Final Fantasy. I can say that.
I played 13.
13's kind of its own demon.
I would... Does that count as, like, a regular... Like, I'm talking... Okay. I've never played a classic Final Fantasy game.
Like 7 or something.
Like, 1 through 4, or, like, 6. I've never played those ones. Or 7, yeah.
Yeah.
Or 8, or 9, or like any of those. I've never actually like played them. I'll start it, and then I don't know why I never finish it, but I don't.
Yes.
I've never played one of those, so therefore, those games would be harder to me, like because like I would have like I have no skill in like that kind of.
Well, you do play Persona. Persona's pretty similar to Final Fantasy.
That's true.
So you wouldn't be alien to you. But
it wouldn't be alien,
it would
but
be
like
somewhat foreign.
Take the Final Fantasy. I wouldn't know all the secrets or like how to do anything. But if I were to say pick up, I don't know, like Age of Empires or like Fire Emblem 7 through the newest, I know all the secrets to those ones because like I've spent an absurd amount of time. I've spent too much time in like those ones.
I know. Shit,
Like, so, like, that kind of, like, that style of game wouldn't be that hard to me.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Yeah, difficulty can be whether or not you're new to what is to be, like, familiar with.
I think it really just depends on, like, your starting skill level versus the amount of skill it takes.
But not only that, like, a hard game is supposed to be something that gives you more obstacles. It's supposed to be something that is, above the average expectation.
But then
an article that kind of talks about stuff like that. But
you can play in Dead Space.
Artificial difficulty could have a little bit more.
But I don't know. I think Dark Souls is difficult. I don't think it's simple.
Like, I don't think there's not a lot of games that are actually hard. Like I know, like, what is it? I know as much as I like Elder Scrolls and Skyrim, I feel like the difficulty and your progression through Skyrim is kind of a joke because it's like there's always going to be a consistent level of either no difficulty or really high difficulty because your level doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
because
levels up with you.
which is stupid because you can't go back to
that's
the
not
beginning
entirely
area.
true.
Everything levels up with you,
when
to a point.
When you level up, you actually do gain abilities and stuff. You gain perks and stuff. So actually, even though you do level up with everything else, you do have advantages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And disadvantages.
Yeah.
On what perks you do and don't invest in.
That's true. I would just say, like at some point, like there's really no point in getting past a certain level. Like there's these like like level like 80 something stuff. I'm like, good lord, why do you even need like? There's no point. Because I guess you just cap the level because, like, at some point there's no challenge, but like there's no extra challenge past a certain point of
Well, no, because it's
enemy,
not a
'cause, like,
challenge.
the enemies
it's
don't
like
keep-
once you get to a high level, you invest in so many perks that you can actually play the game differently.
yes, I'm talking about how the enemies don't scale.
You get to a point you're like, how do you please gamers?
Like,
you
because
can't.
they scale
It's over.
flatline. Well, you can't. You can't please gamers. I think you cannot. I think we're again too spoiled.
I don't know. I'm pretty pleased with Final Fantasy 15. I think it's a great game.
I'm pleased with a lot of games. I'm just saying, like, as a collective whole, gamers are.
No, you can never no. And it's just
I
like
think
US
we're too
political
spoiled.
system. You can't like fully make everyone happy. Like, it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's about appealing to the majority.
Yeah. It's about what's gonna bring in the money.
Yeah, but I think that money should not be what influences game design, and it should be strictly what really tickles your fancy.
Shouldn't be, but it is. Because if they don't make money, you can't make more games.
True that, but also people who have creative freedom are more likely to create something more innovative that people will actually really appreciate.
Like No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to make innovative
that
things
game's so
nowadays
good.
because like, a lot of ideas have been explored a lot.
Not every idea's ever been explored. I have plenty of video game ideas that probably won't be used within the next decade.
Sure. I'm just saying they're harder to come by, especially because like people are getting set in stone and they don't like the foreign things as much.
Because
We claim to want innovation, but we really don't.
I don't know. I like innovation because I like new ideas. I get tired of seeing the same thing. That's why I don't watch a lot of modern anime, because to me a lot of modern anime seems really similar. Not that every modern one is similar.
Fair enough.
There are a lot that are very different that really stand out. But I feel like there's like a lot of patterns in a lot of things that go on today, and I look for something that's just like different. And for example, I really liked Alien Isolation because that was a game that was really different
That was a
than
cool
what I was
game.
used to. Yeah. I really like Final Fantasy 15. It's a different gameplay style that I actually grow to appreciate.
I think it's pretty cool. I still get to play it. Sure.
What other games are really different that I play a lot of? I like the new Sonic Mania. I like how even though it's only a slight difference, it makes a huge change in the game, even though it feels really familiar. I like the spin dash.
Be careful with the cable.
Based off of,
I don't know if it taps. I know I've tapped it before and it makes fucking noise and it's dumb.
I like that Cuphead is based off of old cartoony styles.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that it's like a new
I like
art
that.
style. We don't see stuff like that.
I know when
So-
PewDiePie made his video, I was like, I love games in this art style. I'm like, when's the last game that used this art style as I don't know of a last game that used this kind of art style.
Yeah.
Other than like, I don't know, what is the one, what's the one with the ink?
Oh, Mickey, Epic Mickey.
No, not that.
Oh.
That not Disney. It was, what's it called? The one, it was a... It was a first person horror game based off of a character who was made in Bendy in the Ink Machine. You guys seen that?
Oh,
Yeah.
I saw it on Steam. I didn't actually play it though. I don't know what it's
That
like.
it's based off of like
no, it was like a
you look
I know
at
what you're talking about. What was it called?
Bendy in the Ink Machine.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, no, I saw a trailer on it on Steam a while back. It's a horror game that kind of uses the
The oldie style?
Disney
But it's not
style.
the literal style. Yeah, go to that. That's a song. That's a fan song I think that some people made. It's really good actually. It's kind of cringy.
Yeah,
in my
I
opinion.
think it works by episodes, it seems.
Chapter 2 is the one with
Oh, Markiplier played it. Okay,
Yeah, he
I
played
didn't
it.
even see him play it at all. Is this the first one? Which one's the first one?
But he did some episodes.
Hey guys, my name is Markiplier.
Hold on, guys.
But yeah, it has that sort of style to it, but it's not like a side-scrolling style. But
Yeah, no, I like this because this is something that I haven't seen before. It's something that's like it's a horror game. Right?
I can't remember the last time somebody did a. I don't remember any time where somebody did a side-scrolling game in that style.
Yeah.
It's like Mickey with you can drink his brains.
But the thing is like, I don't know. Cuphead as a base isn't really new. Cuphead is pretty much like
it's like platformer.
It's pretty much Contra.
Yeah, it's got It's like the platformer.
Yeah,
So I just like the fact that the art style.
Jump shoot man.
I like how he shoots things out of his fingers.
Yeah, no, I like his finger guns. Like
Does he do finger guns?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. But I think we probably should call it time. I gotta head out. I gotta get ready for work.
Alright.
But I will definitely check out that game later.
I gotta get back to conquering the rest of the world, man. I mean, I already eradicated France, so.
True that. I gotta get dressed and I gotta eat food so I don't starve at work. I work at 3:15 to 3:15 to 8:45.
It's only like 5 hours. It's not that bad.
No, it's not bad. I just want to get it over with.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough.
Yeah, next time.
All right.
I think with the next video we should kind of get one idea and kind of stick with it. I feel like some of this one kind of all over the place.
I don't know. I like the whole
I
just
do
kind of
like-
open idea
But at the
podcast.
same time,